Hey guys, Pain Train here from Battle Pirates Crib, running solo tonight because everybody else seems to be otherwise assumed dead. Um, Earth was meant to be on, but he's not here at the moment. Larry is a little bit busy with some stuff. He might be jumping in mid-show. So it's obviously a special show tonight to go over the results for the survey that a lot of you did for us. So I'm going to go over that when I get the slides up. I won't be able to watch chat, unfortunately, because I'm here on my own. Uh, I'll have my screen for the sharing of the slides. So don't think I'm ignoring you on the chat. Talk amongst yourselves and stuff. But I'm gonna get on with my show. Just grab the slides up for you. So yeah, should be sharing there. Like I said, we're here today to go over the results for the show, for the survey. 2,124 of you actually took part. So first, I want to say a big thank you for everyone that took the time out. Only about 10 minutes or so, but it really helps, and hopefully, it will make a massive difference in the long run. So yeah, a big thank you for everyone who decided to take part. I'm going to kick off, just go straight into the questions here, seeing as that's what we're here to talk about. So the first question I asked was, how often do you play Battle Pirates? So it's quite obvious from the chart. 80% of people play daily. It doesn't mean they play a lot, but they play at least once a day and log in once a day. So that tells me enough to know that it's still popular, at least with the people we surveyed. People are going on regularly. It's not just a game that people are playing once a week, and it seems that people are still addicted and still wanting to log in every week, every day. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And then went on to ask how long do you play for in an average sitting? So obviously you've got a lot of varied answers here. Most people said they play for 1 to 2 hours, which it isn't abnormally long to play a game for. I think 1 to 2 hours is pretty much what I would expect. I was surprised to see 3 to 4 hours was the second biggest. 19.39% of people there play for 3 to 4 hours a day. Um, Only 8% of you play for less than half an hour. So I'm guessing, that's probably the people who come in and find out they're being flattened, maybe the non-coiners, and they're kind of restricted for the game, so they just end up logging off. It could be an explanation there. And a massive 11% of people sit and play for five hours or more every time they play on average. So think about that as quite a proportion of the day. These people are committed and they're putting a lot of time into the game. So obviously there's nothing to say whether they spend or how much they spend, but it tells me and hopefully tells Kickside that people are putting a lot of investment in the game with time. So it goes into the further questions that we ask and shows that these are committed players who have answered the survey and not just randomers who we've bumped off into the street and asked these random questions. So I thought I'd ask people what they usually do when they log into play. So there's a lot of choices here, from hitting bases, general chores like Uranium, campaigns, Forsaken mission, and the biggest part is probably not a surprise. It was just general chatting on comms. The social aspect of the game is what a lot of people play it for now. Sometimes you can't hit bases, you can't hit fleets, maybe because of repairs, or because you've been hit, or you just haven't got the money or the time to repair everything. So, all the base hitting fleets that you've got, if they're not fixed, they're no good to you. So I'm not surprised at all to see over a quarter of people answered that they just come on just to socialize. Base hitting at 20%, that's 1/5 of people. It's quite a huge amount of people come on with the intention to hit bases, which I'd probably take from that. Obviously, base hitting fleets. We got the repairs from base hitting fleets now. Um, a lot of them have repair modifiers, and they seem to be really ridiculously long repairs. Sometimes a day to a day and a half to repair an average, decent base hitting fleet to get into a good base nowadays. So I think with 20% of people wanting to come on and play Battle Pirates to hit bases, they really, some addressing needs to be done to the repair times for base hitting fleets in particular. as well as across the board. Because you can see just next to that on the left, it says just to repair 15.56% of people. So that's a hell of a lot of people who are coming on just to repair their base and then log off. They can't play because they're restricted due to, repairs. They've been hit, they come on, and they've got nothing to do. So, they don't want to sit there chatting on comms for 2 or 3 hours a day, because that's not really what they came on for. They came to play a game, and they can't play that game. I will note that some people messaged me on this, various questions. They gave me some extra additional feedback. And one of the things that people told me was this isn't what they necessarily do when they log on. It's just what they would like to do when they log on. So it's a bit of a variation there between the answers. But a lot of people told me that they selected Forsaken mission and ranking. That's not what they want to do, but they feel obliged to do that because it's such an important part of the game. It sounds like somebody's just joined the room.
Hey, Pain Train.
Oh, hey, Larry. You haven't missed too much. I've just gone over the first couple of questions of the frequency of how often people play, and I've just covered why they log into play.
Great.
If you could keep an eye on chat. I can't see chat with the screen share on, so.
Let me get there. Sorry, I just ran down.
All right. I'm glad someone else joined. I didn't want to just be me talking for an hour or so. People get bored of listening to the same voice. So yeah, I'll move on to the next question we ask. So that was just like a general introduction to the survey, kind of gauging how long people play and why they play. So then before we crack on to one of the 3 topics of the survey, which was the first one, is Forsaken mission. So I just asked overall, are you happy with the changes to the Forsaken mission? Now this chart says a lot. 84.69% of people said no, they are not happy overall with the changes. I think that's quite alarming when you say, Larry, that so many people aren't happy with the change.
Yeah, 85% is pretty high.
Yeah, and I said at the beginning, it was, over 2,000 people have responded to the service. It's quite a sample of people. So I'll move on. We'll try and find out why they're not happy with the future questions. So I wanted to see why, how far people are willing to go in the mission. So I asked, what levels of the Forsaken mission will you complete on a regular basis? And I did say tick all that apply. I'm not sure everybody did, but you can still see a lot of people willing to go to tier 3. 65% of people are willing to go for tier 3 once on the first time, but only 37% of people are willing to go for it a second time. Now elite, is it 50 mil you need for elite now?
Yeah, first time.
That's the one that was the difference. Tier 3 is the old tier 4, so people are already used to that. I would say that's not a big problem, but the tier 4 or the elite was a massive change, and as you can see, 29% of people said that they were willing to do elite at least once. I think that's, I don't know, would you say that's high or low? Would you expect it to be that, or would you expect it to be a bit higher?
I don't know, 29% doing elite. That's not too surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is an elite target, and lower levels and mid levels aren't necessarily supposed to get it.
Right.
It's not something everyone's going to be able to do, especially with it not being out for so long. We've only had a few missions, maybe 3 missions have we had since the release.
That's right. We've had one cycle of them, so probably just the 3.
Yeah. But I mean, it says 9% a second time, so those people get into elite once. I would imagine they're really struggling to get there and maybe pushing the boat out a little bit, pushing the boundary with their fleet repairs. And
well, yeah, and for me, it's just time. I can get through elite once, and then I hit one more 85 to get the tier 3 a second time, and that's it. I just I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's the same. That's the same as what I do. I just hit the elite once and then go for elite. Sorry, tier 3 the second. The first time round, I did elite twice, just mainly because I wanted to get both the prizes. I was being a bit greedy, but I did spend coin to do that, so it wasn't for free, and it's not something I'd like to do regularly, if at all.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I've got someone in chat said he did elite once, and now he just does tier 3, so he could do elite, but just doesn't want to.
Yeah, it's a lot of time to invest into it. even if you, regardless of coin, if you could find a way to do it for free, it's 115 million points. It's a hell of a lot more than 4.5, which we've been used to.
Well, the way I looked at it is to get, on the old system, you would have to hit 565s to be done, right? So that's 5 targets that take maybe between 5 and 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you hit an 85, first of all, now you have to hit 8 of them to be done, right?
Yeah.
With elite once. And each of those targets is more like closer to 15 minutes, I'd say, to complete, right?
Well, I'll definitely say so, yeah.
So you've gone from, maybe 45 minutes to do the mission, from 45 minutes of playing to 2 hours plus of playing just to do the mission.
And that's if you could do it for free or instant, or reasonable repair, or if you were
Right.
willing to coin it, because 65s were a hell of a lot easier to hit, weren't they?
Right. And that's just playtime ignoring the damage. I mean, obviously an 85 is a lot more damage too.
Yeah. But should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, we've got someone else. I do elite free, no coins, but takes the full 3 days and barely makes it. And yeah, it's not surprising.
See, speaking of doing it for free, I've got an idea using the rhinos. I've got mine. I've just finished. I'm starting ranking up my rhinos. Obviously, that hasn't been for free, so not everyone would be able to do that straight away. But I think there is some ideas out there. I've put some ideas on the page already. To definitely reduce or even make it, I wouldn't say free, but make it reasonable over the course of 3 days. But if you weren't willing to coin or have the fleet straight away, you wouldn't be able to do this until you built that fleet. For me, it was okay because I had the Jug X decoy and I've already got my enforcer. So the particular fleet that I've created is made for me. And if you wanted to build that, you would need to take a couple of months out maybe to build that, which is, you're taking away then from maybe refitting a guard fleet or something and making the fleet just for your mission. Although I would suggest it because a mission is going to be around for a long time, I would imagine, with the same format. So it's a good investment.
Yeah, and that was true of the old mission as well. I mean, people should have had a mission fleet, and it's the same kind of fleet that's going to work for these 85s, 65. It's just harder.
Well, I'd say siege battery is definitely something you should be considering, as well as high missile defense. That's the thing that's really hurting people most, I think, is those missile turrets. They don't look very
Well,
powerful, but I think they are.
yeah, I've got someone in chat. The ships hurt me the most. I'm a noob and didn't prep them out. High evade Jug X with cryos work well against the fleets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is some, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're doomed forever with these missions. I think it's like everything new. It's going to take some time to get used to, maybe, and eventually people will start to create fleets that will be doing these really easily, and we'll start seeing videos where people are blitzing through these. But it takes time, so people have got to adjust as well, I think.
Yeah.
So the next question, I just thought of curiosity as well. What reasons do you do the Forsaken mission? Now, obviously, it was a tick all that apply. So I don't understand. Some people must have not been bothered about the uranium, which surprised me. I always thought pretty much everybody would want the uranium, but only 87% of people tick the box for uranium. Unless maybe they misread the question and thought it said, which one would you like the most? But it didn't say that.
But, no. But sometimes you're full.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Although now, spend it on cruise.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, I thought that was interesting to see that 87% said uranium, only 52% said tokens. People aren't really bothered about tokens, it seems, which surprised me.
I like tokens.
I love tokens. I mean, maybe it's the type of tokens that the mission offers. It offers research tokens and structure build. I think a lot of people want fleet repair and fleet build. Fleet repair is one that I've hardly seen. I'm not sure when it was released, actually.
Yeah. We had the tournament fleet repair ones.
Yeah, but they were non-transferable to the live environment, weren't they?
Did we get any straight fleet repair? Maybe
I think
in that
there might have been one campaign when you got a few hour ones, but
yeah,
I think I think maybe if Kickside offered some fleet repair, because a lot of people are feeding back on a regular basis that fleet repairs are too much. So at least giving tokens for the repairs. Well, I mean, I don't see anybody complaining about research times. I don't see people complaining about structure build times. I think repair times and build times are the two main criteria. So they should probably
Absolutely.
focus more of the tokens towards those rather than the research. Because research, like on a retro lab, it's only 24 hours per level. I'd hardly complain with that.
Yeah, but now we've got two weeks for the rockets, and some people are still want to do hulls. I went back and did Barracudas, and I'm in the middle of the 10-day CUDA R10. So
Yeah, I suppose that you for the ships, yeah. But I would still argue that most people would prefer ship build and repair, definitely the fleet repair tokens.
yeah. And chat, everybody's saying they like uranium.
Yeah, yeah. Uranium is probably it's the most popular from the survey as well. So this one I couldn't really put it in a graphic because I asked the question and left the text box for people to manually type an answer to, which was a mistake because the BP community aren't the best sometimes, and there was a lot of strange answers there, some of which I won't
Bacon.
repeat. There was a few bacons, yeah. Some people would like to spend bacon on the Forsaken mission. Some
I'd
people,
keep the bacon.
well, there was a few outliers. I've got some down there. I think one of the outliers was something to do with some females to help them do the Forsaken mission. But most people, I didn't count them all because, as you can imagine, there was over 2,000 results. And I was scrolling through a list, literally a big, massive list. I was scrolling through. Most of them said 0 or none. There was quite a few that said 25, 50. The ones that did say put a value down for coins, most of them didn't exceed 50, but there was some that were willing to spend 100. And there were obviously some outliers. There was a 200, 500, and 1,000 that I picked up on. I'm not sure if they were just trolling. They could be, or they could have added an extra digit. Kickside did it in the raid, so maybe they did it on the mission, in the survey. So you never know. Mistakes happen, but most people said they don't want to spend in the mission, which is I
I
agree
don't
with
want to spend in the mission.
that. I mean, a
I,
few things that I picked up on was some people actually commented in the box, and one of them is one that really stood out, and it said, um, I might coin, but it depends how good the prize is. So I think that's something to consider. It depends on what they're offering and what the gain is. You might not necessarily coin regularly, but if there's a new prize which is really interesting, you might coin that 1 week.
yeah. I don't know. it gets back to the statement from the designers, right? You should. I mean, if you make us want to coin, that's fine. But if you have to coin to do the Forsaken mission every week, that's like you have to coin, and that's just,
Yeah, it's pretty. I agree with that statement. I would like to feel like I'm getting something. Like I want to build this ship, or I want to complete this target. Not if I don't coin this, I'm going to miss out. I don't like that feeling in
right.
the game.
Right. I've got someone in chat. If the game was good, I'd spend 50 to 100. That's about all we've got on that in the chat.
Cool, thanks. So the next one is 3 days enough time to reach your desired tier? Actually, most people said yes. It was pretty borderline, but 53.54% of people said that the 3 days is plenty of time for them. I think the only thing I would say about this is that says for your desired tier. So their desired tier might only be a tier 3, in which case 3 days is fine.
Well, it depends on the player, and also with the 85s, it's even harder to find the lower level ones. Harder to find 65s, and then I think in a lot of sectors it was getting hard to find 40s and 27s, which people that hit the lower tiers depend on.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I did get some additional comments with this question. One of which was, 3 days is plenty of time if there was enough targets for me to hit. That particular person hit 65s only and grinds it out to tier 3, and tries to do tier 3 twice, but they struggle to do it in the 3 days simply because they're in a popular group of which most people are high level and spawn 85s or maybe 75s, and they can't physically get it done because they spend a lot of time looking for a target and less time hitting.
yeah.
So I went on to talk about the prize rotation. Are you happy with the prize rotation of the Forsaken mission? 70% of people said no. They want more rotation, so they want to see me. I suppose I could have probably been more specific with the question on reflection. So that I suppose that could mean that they want older tech, recycled into the mission more, because sometimes you want that one prize and it gets taken out. I know a lot of people have that problem, don't they? As well as new stuff. Maybe some people like new stuff. 9% of people said there's too many prizes, so maybe those are the people who think there's too much stuff going into the mission and they want it to slow down a bit. So yeah, I mean, don't really know what else to make of that.
Yeah, let's see.
I think a lot.
Oh hey,
I think a lot of people trying to catch up in it. And sorry, I'm late. By the way, I just couldn't get the link to work. I had to restart my computer in order to get in.
No worries.
But yeah, I think a lot of that is people trying to catch up, and obviously with the new prizes going in there all the time, it's kind of hard to catch up. I mean, it's good now that people can do it twice, but I still don't think that there's enough time to do it twice for a lot of people.
Well, it's not just with the prize rotation, it's fair enough if it's available twice and the prizes are there to win. For the last, I think since it's come out, I've only won new stuff in the lower tiers, and I am missing quite a few things. Things that I probably won't use anytime soon. Splash upgrade and evade upgrade, but they're not there for everybody else, and they might need them.
Yeah, it's tough for me to comment on that since I've been caught up with the mission ever since it started. But
well, I'm just glad that Shield Electronics was in the raid. On a slightly off topic, so thank you for that. That's something that I've been protesting for to be back in the mission, but I still stick to what I say, regardless of me getting what I wanted. I think generally for other people as well, that we need more older stuff in, of a mixed variety.
Yeah, I think if the raid prizes were more complete, maybe, then Forsaken mission wouldn't be quite as critical. You know what I mean? Like if you could, I've talked about it on the blog. If you could put together a nice package of prizes from the raid where you win a few things and you build a ship with that, then you're good, right? I mean, it's nice to have everything, but really you only need what you're going to build. And if it carries you to the next raid, then you can do it again.
I agree.
So here, let me catch up on chat a little bit. We got one guy feels Tier 3 is a good replacement for the old Tier 4, and Elite separates the Elite from the Auto Raiders, which is, I think, what Kixeye really did intend.
Yeah, I agree with that point.
115 mil in 3 days sucks balls. I agree with that. That's why I don't do it. If you're going to do it once, 3 days is fine, but if you reset it, reset the time. Again, I also agree with that. If I had another 3 days, I might.
I'll second that one.
Yeah, I think we're in mutual agreement there.
First go round is all you should need unless you're hungering for the token.
I mean, realistically,
sorry guys.
And I mean, it's nice to catch up and stuff, but with the amount of other stuff that we've got going on that we need to get done as well, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, when you factor in the campaigns, dredge fleets, Forsaken missions as well as obviously what we're talking about, and then you've got raids every month, a second raid, or the Forsaken mission, Forsaken arena every month as well now. It just starts to get too much, really, doesn't it?
Yeah,
just fitting all the chair time in.
Yeah, don't forget you want to actually play. I play this game, and 20% of people play this game or would like to play the game to hit bases when they log in, not to sit there faffing around with the mission and campaign. And I suppose if they're doing the mission, they're not hitting bases, are they?
That's right. I mean, especially if you're not willing to coin it, right? I mean, you got to hit some mission targets, and then you got to click repair. And then if you want to hit a base, you're going to get a lot of repairs. So it's just not sustainable.
No, I agree.
At the minute, the way that I'm seeing it is with the amount of chores that there are now, going out and getting uranium, going out, doing the Forsaken mission, twice if you want to do it twice. But, with the amount of chores, you don't really have the butt time to do the base hitting and stuff like that, unless you obviously coin it. And to be honest, I'd rather be coining to hit bases than to be doing the Forsaken mission.
Yeah, it goes back to what Larry says as well, where if it was something that they made you want to coin, it would be different. But you're almost, I wouldn't say forced to coin because no one's holding a gun to your head, but you're forced to choose between coining and hitting the base, or not hitting the base and not playing. So I just moving on to the next one. Are you happy with the uranium payout in the mission? 57% said no, 43% said yes. Now I was a bit, I thought about this a little bit earlier, and I'm thinking, what reason could it be that they're not happy? Now, obviously, with the crews, that could be a massive reason. They need more uranium for the crews. As their retrofits get more expensive, they need to do those. And I'm wondering how many of these 57% of people just want something more because, well, not. Who doesn't want more uranium?
Have you thought of the third option?
Yeah.
There is a third option that maybe they think that because of the amount of chores that they've got and only a set amount of time to do it, if they had a bit more uranium, then they might not have to worry about doing dredges so much.
That is a very good point, Alice. I like that point. And that would actually help, I think, the decision between whether people want to do elite and if they want to do any of the targets twice at all. If some people might not be doing the elite,
I think
because they need to hit dredges as well.
Yeah, I think that if because of the time, obviously the time constraint with it as well. I think that if you had a bit more uranium for the elite tier, it would probably definitely make people feel a bit better about doing it.
Now, am I correct in saying you do not get uranium for the replete?
Correct.
So
No, you don't.
that's something that I think would make a massive impact. If you offered, I'm going to say you offered more uranium, because you're doing more, and it's costing you more in either time, money, or both, and the points that you acquire are more. So they should offer more uranium.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, it's one of those things, though, isn't it? It's just you've got to have something that they've got to give you something.
Yeah, there has to be a need for you to want to do something.
Yeah, they've got to give something. It's just they're expecting you to do more, but they don't want to give you anything really in return.
Yeah. So moving on, the next series of questions was for road crews. I thought there's a hell of a lot of slides just for pie charts and stuff. So I wanted to break up a little bit, although it's needed. So I put a nice little graphic in. That's something Larry usually does, but there's no naked ladies.
Very nice.
I'm sorry. But there is Mr. Solid Dog, who we'll get into in a bit. So first question, are you happy overall with the changes to the road crews? 91.84% of people said no. And to be honest, it doesn't surprise me. I'm actually surprised it's not more because there was a lot of uproar, and we can talk about why, but I think it's obvious, and we'll break it down with the questions. But does this shock anybody? The result for this question?
I'm a little bit shocked that it's not higher.
Yeah. I don't know what the 8% were liking. I mean, if you look at, what is there to like? I like the different version of the crews. I think that was an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Like those, but it comes at the cost of having too many crews in a row. It's just it gets prohibitive to roll for any specific crew.
Yeah. So let's try and break these crews down a bit then. So the first thing I thought, obviously they've added a purchasing feature. So are people willing to spend gold on crews? 80.41% of people are not willing to spend gold on anything to do with road crews. Only 1.03% of the people asked are willing to purchase crews. And I'm actually quite shocked.
Right?
Yeah, 1.03%. I was expecting it to be a little bit more.
Plus the 2% that are willing to spend on both.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And then you've got 16.49% of people who are willing to extend crews and not purchase them, just extend them. And that kind of leads me on to the point of where they changed it so you can't continuously extend the same crew over and over again. There's 16% of people willing to do that. I think that's enough percent of people willing to do that, to leave the option to continuously spend 3 coins for a war thrust, for example. It's no harm to those who don't want a coin, just simply dismiss the crew and play the game as normal. I don't see why they took that option away, forcing them to have to re-roll and re-roll to get the crew.
Well,
if they're willing to pay for it.
It's kind of mad, really, because it was only like, what, 2 months ago that they gave us the option to extend them constantly?
Yeah, it wasn't too long that they had that feature.
So, I mean, there was a big thing about that. Like, yeah, we're going to let you extend your road crews over and over now. And then suddenly they pull it.
So I know a lot of what we're talking about is, how much it's costing people and the cost is increasing. Is kind of the theme I'm gathering here. But let's not forget, people are willing to spend, and I imagine this would really annoy people who are willing to spend, because they're more than happy to spend and re-roll their crew and keep that crew going and going, so they don't have to mess around in the Great Hall rolling all the time. And you've kind of took that away from the coiners there, which is a bold move, I would say.
Well, the thing is, I mean, what you'll find with me is I'll use a specific crew, but then I'll leave it in my dock in order to extend it when I want to have it.
Yeah.
And if, for example, it was like a Bullseye Brigade, I'd want to extend that quite a lot.
And you're willing to spend the cost of whatever it was to extend it, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's certain road crews that you don't want to.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, obviously people say about the spending, but it's your choice. And if you're willing to spend, I don't see why you should have that privilege taken away to spend. And likewise, I'm not willing to revolve them, but I'll happily just dismiss the crew and carry on as normal.
There is an interesting, some players say, let us spend to get specific crews. And what's interesting is that when you're spending to extend a crew, it sort of is like that, right? Because you're spending the whatever gold it takes, 15 gold or whatever, to get another period of using that crew. So it is like spending on a specific crew. And so it's actually very interesting, I would think, for Kickside to say, well, if people are willing to spend that much gold to extend that crew, then they're also probably willing to spend that much gold to get the crew in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with that point completely there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean,
I'm always a fan of having these options. This being one of them. Skins is another example where you have the option to coin, and if you don't coin, it's not a massive impact for the non-coiners. It doesn't really affect their game too much, because they can play their game the same as they are, and they're not penalized. So I think, I don't see why these small changes are taking place, to be honest.
Yeah. I got a comment for higher payout from Drac bases. Somebody said they really like the new advanced cutthroats. I mean, advanced sea serpents. Agree with that.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite crews now at the moment.
Yeah. Haven't used any crews other than cutthroats in ages. Yeah, talking about build times. Let's see, we got somebody spent when they first changed it, got Lucky Bastard, Wharf Rat, and Molotov. That's pretty lousy for 30 gold.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, I got 2, what did I get? 2 Steelheads and something else I got. 2 Dragon Slayers it was.
I bet you were thrilled. You can go and gather more Xinthium.
Yeah.
They
2 Dragon Slayers
something
and
for
Steelheads.
Yeah.
Horrid. But as well, the crews have got to be worth the reroll price as well. I think is another thing.
Yeah.
They upped the status of some of the crews, which obviously then upped the cost of them being redone.
Yeah.
Which has probably also pissed a few people off as to why they're not.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So the next question, talking about the difference of crews and how they changed some of the crews. Obviously, there's 2 of the main crews I noticed that changed. I know a few crews were changed, but the 2 major ones was the Bullseye Brigade and the Solid Dogs. So there's 2 questions relating to those 2 now. The first one was, which type of crew do you feel is appropriate for Solid Dogs? because obviously, bear in mind this survey was created before they changed the Salty Dog recently. So it was just a rare crew and a rare crew only for twice the experience points, which is the one at the top. And then recently they've demoted that to an uncommon, and they've added a rare one where you get 3 times as much, which I'm really glad to see that one. I think that's what they should have done. With regards to the rare crew, it should have given us more bonus, which is what we said on one of the shows. But you can see 83.67% of people think it should revert back to common, and obviously it's not. It's still uncommon, which is at the moment 1,000 uranium to roll for, isn't it? So I think a lot of people are still not happy that it's uncommon, and they would prefer a common crew. As thankful as we are that they've done something about it, it's not quite what we wanted them to do, is it?
Well, the thing is, with the amount of ranking that obviously we've got to do to make our fleets viable in the game that we've got now. I mean, back in the olden days, if you like, rank wasn't quite so important as what it is now. It makes a massive difference between getting into bases and not getting into bases. The amount of damage that you take. With it ranked up legendary. Yeah, everything is based around the rank of your ships now, and with no real exceptional way of doing it apart from the unidentified raiding fleets. The salties was what was keeping everybody from not trying to top themselves whilst ranking. I think.
Well, I stopped ranking. From time, I'm not one who is. I wouldn't say I'm a heavy ranker. My fleets aren't all massively ranked. Apart from my Crusaders, I don't have a legendary fleet. Actually, no, my subs are pretty much legendary now. But this is just discouraging me from ranking. I actually thought to myself once, I'm going to go out. I've nothing to do. I'm in a bubble. There's nobody really online. I'll go and do a Salty Dogs. Oh wait, I don't have one, and I'm not going to try and roll one because at the point then they were rare. So what I did? I logged off and did something else because there was nothing to do in the game, and I wasn't willing to rank something and get half as much as I probably could have got before. So it kind of annoyed me to the extent where I literally logged off, and that's not something that they want to be encouraging players to do, is it?
Yeah.
I've got to agree. It's very similar to me, really. I haven't ranked fleets for ages because of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost rather refit than build new just so I don't have to rank it. I got 2 interesting comments in chat. We got one way to slow the game down is to slow ranking down, keep peeps to level par. That's an interesting point of view. I'm not sure I agree, but
I can see their logic, but I think all that is going to potentially do is push the gap between coiner and non-coiner.
Yeah, I agree with that. Rob, yeah. And then the other one is probably a more common view. It takes months to build a good fleet. Then by the time you rank them, your fleet is useless.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes by the time you built your fleet, it's pretty much out of service before you refit. And then when you factor in rank, yeah, that's a very good point there.
Yeah, I mean, at least back in again when we had the Forsaken Arena and we could put our fleets in that. That was helping us out ranking a lot. A lot of people were doing that, gaining a lot of rank.
And it was fun. It was actually surprisingly fun in the arena.
Yeah, it broke up the monotonous salvage after salvage after salvage.
Yeah, well, and you could fight without the repair bill, which was beautiful.
You could still learn arena, couldn't you?
You can, but without Salty Dogs, one could argue it's not as effective, and it's the same as going out ranking. Do you really want to sit there and do it? And actually, to be honest, I've tried the arena several times. I know several in my alliance have tried. We've been on TeamSpeak together, and we're like, our fleets are dead. We've got some uranium. Screw it. Let's play some arena. We always forget about the arena, and I was sat matchmaking for almost an hour. I literally forgot that my fleet was in a crew, and I didn't get a match because there's almost nobody playing. It seems
not
like
many people are doing it. Yeah.
So
I haven't done it in a long time.
On a slightly off note, I'd like to see them encourage some more arena activity because it's a really good idea and a nice concept, and it breaks down the game a little bit from the monotonous chores and repairing. because it's obviously you need your fleet repaired, but so long as you have the uranium, it's not awfully expensive to play in the arena with regards to uranium. And it's a really good element of the game, and I think they need to push people a bit more towards that, and it will increase the overall gameplay as well. So anything else on Salty
I got another similar comment in chat. All right.
Yes, moving on to Bullseye Brigade. So same question, which type of crew do you feel is most appropriate for Bullseye Brigade? 55.1% said uncommon, which is what it was before. 11.22% of people said it should be rare, which is what it is now. Now, 10% of people said it should be legendary. I'm guessing those people don't like Bullseye Brigades very much when they get hit with them. That's a logical explanation, but at least we've got to give the honest opinions to what people say. 23.47% of people said it's common, or it should be common. I'm not sure, actually, I agree with that. I personally think uncommon is what it should be. What about you two?
Agreed. I think it should be uncommon. It's not quite as overpowered as it was before the APOC morts.
I don't know. I might go rare.
Because I know Larry's going to say that it's overpowered. So I just thought I'd get that in there.
Yeah, see, I'm going to just say I'm understanding. I can see both sides of the coin. And personally, I would prefer it to be uncommon. And I think the reason why I think that is missiles aren't, well, I'm going to say, obviously now we've got new missiles, but up until this raid, missiles haven't been a major part of the game. It's been a kind of, if you can make the fleet work, good luck with the morts. But a lot of people are going for splash type weapons. So if someone came and hit with the Bullseye Brigade, I wouldn't be bothered because I don't run evade on my guard. That's only me personally. I know obviously I'm just one player, but that's my look on it. And I would think, whenever I've advised people, I've always said don't bother running evade because of crews like Bullseye Brigade and DOS, which would put you at a disadvantage. Go for resistances instead. And I think that's the general advice I give people when they ask for guard builds.
I think that this argument is generally what separates players that have played at the top level, sort of, at the higher level where people are getting hit quite a lot and stuff like that, and you're actually going out and actively in one of the top alliances, to somebody who probably doesn't quite get hit so much. Because what you'll find that as a lot of people within that sort of bracket of playing in the bigger groups will all sort of shy away from evading their guard fleets more than, say somebody who's in their level 60s that plays around with people in their own sector and doesn't really sort of jump around or anything like that.
Another thing I want to add to that is, obviously we're talking about PvP, but a lot of the game is being pushed towards PvE at the moment. So, evade is something that the enemy have got a lot of. So think about the ships at the beginning of the 85s. Think about a lot of the Reavers. If assuming you're not using Arbalest, you might be using missiles. I think evade is a big problem in some people's games, especially maybe the lower levels who haven't got a powerful Crusader fleet or something, and they're relying on maybe bypass chain guns or siege and strike missiles. Evade is a problem for them, and I think Bullseye Brigade would help them gain a stronger footing in the missions and raids and stuff. And being a rare crew is obviously making it a lot harder for them. So that's kind of the other side of it, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I do understand what you're saying as well, Larry. It's, especially when now we're thinking about these new missiles as well. They're quite powerful and they've got good accuracy anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Brigade was really powerful in the arena too, when you could do some mastodons and you just have these massive trains of missiles, and you knew that their death was in the air because you had Bullseye Brigade and you saw this big train of missiles heading their way. It's like,
or you could do
whatever they do to you, they're dead.
And you can use a Grimshire, Berserker, and Nighthawks, and then you knew they were dead, regardless of what thermal they had or anything. But yeah, I can see both sides there. But according to the survey, most people said uncommon. So some food for thought. So the next question was, are you happy with the variety of crews on offer? Only 28% of people said yes, they're fine how they are. 17% or almost 18% said there's too many types of crew there, and 53.68% of people said that they are not appropriate for modern gameplay. And I couldn't agree with them more, actually. Although some of them have been upgraded a little bit, like you said, the 24% on Sea Serpents. I think a lot of it is down to the favoured ships, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead, Irv.
I have to agree with what they're saying. A lot of them aren't appropriate for modern gameplay, but I also have to agree that there are too many because obviously the new crews that have been added, you know, what they should have done is added a few, taken a few out that aren't sort of really in the mix for modern gameplay, really, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Or change the ones that are in there.
I'm solidly in the too many camp, actually.
See, now I'm kind of borderline. I do think there are slightly too many there, and I think it kind of mixes in with there are too many, and a lot of them that they do have aren't relevant. So I think it's a bit of both there.
Yeah.
I would say
it's-
one good idea. I think it might have been Paolo. It might not have been. So if it was someone else, I apologise. But on the last or the one before, on our community show, there was an idea given that the favoured ships should be categorised rather than specific ships. For example, you could create a bruiser class, I think is what they said, where you have a set few ships which are classed as bruiser just for the definition of the road crews, and they get a favoured class rather than a favoured ship. So you're not alienating. You have to have a crusader, or you have to have a hammerhead, or whatever it is on the favoured ships, and you can have more generic if you've got a missile type ship or something. I think that would maybe help certain crews get a little bit more life without changing them too much.
Yeah, I think I've said something similar in the past before as well.
I've never heard that idea before, but I like it. Yeah.
So yeah, so moving on to the cost of uranium. So how do you feel about the cost of uranium of the crews? Obviously, the cost of rolling the crews increased dramatically. Only 3.06% of people said that it's just right as it is with the update. Bear in mind, this is before they reduced it. At this time, it was 2,000 to roll for an uncommon, and was it 800 for a... Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was 2,000 for an uncommon, and I think it was 1,000 for a common roll. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so they have decreased that, so let's bear that in mind. But this is with the previous stats. 2% said it should cost more. I'm not sure if they just really dislike crews or if they were trolling, but that's their point. 71.43 said revert back to former cost, and 23.47 said they wanted it cheaper than it was before the update. So one thing I'm going to point out there is they have reduced it, but as you can see, almost 3/4 of people wanted it to be how it was before, and it still isn't at that value, and it's still more than that considerably, I would say. So I'd like to see some kind of changes around that. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. To be honest, I think that the road crews are going to help a lot of people that are sort of like a lower level or a mid-level, probably quite a lot more than people in the higher tiers, more than anything.
But if you think about someone who can't get uranium, they can't hit
exactly.
loads of dredges. They can't get 100k every dredge time. They can't get elite in the weekly mission. They're really limited to how many they can roll if they wanted to spend on that. And if they do, they're not doing retro upgrades. And I think for that purpose, the cost should be lowered, especially for the fact that they're rolling 1,000 uranium for the chance of maybe getting something they don't even need anymore, like a lucky bastards,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
lower level players. I think there are a lot of players that don't use road crews enough. I'm probably one of them, and these are discouraging people from using road crews because they're not going to get them so much.
Yeah, I agree. They should be more encouraged for all levels, not just for the higher levels who can afford it.
Especially the cheap rolls should be cheaper. I mean, at least get people in the door using them. It seems like that'd be good for Kickside too. Make them gateway crews, get you hooked.
Yeah, make them want them. Start the addiction early on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, obviously, moving on, they give us 50 slots. This is quite unanimous. There's not really much to say, I don't think. 84.69% of people said, yeah, 50 slots is fine. 4% wanted more. 11% said they need less. I suppose if you need less, 50 is fine. You don't really need to change it. You're just not going to fill them up. So, I'd say that's actually good feedback. And well done for giving us 50 crews, I think, or 50 slots. I think that was a welcome change in the update for most.
Yeah, I think 50 slots is pretty much bang on, really. It gives you good variety in there. You can put a good amount of certain crews away if you get them. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
I quite like it.
I filled mine up with those 1,000 rolls before the last mission because I was full of uranium. So
yeah, I'm full on 50.
Plenty I didn't want.
So I think this was the last question actually on road crews. It was, how do these changes impact you when using road crews? So 55% of people said they're going to be using them less now. Going back to what you said before, Larry, about wanting to encourage people to use more, this is doing the opposite by the looks of things. Only 14% of people are going to use more crews now.
Yeah.
10% said they never use them anyway, so I suppose it doesn't really affect them. And 21% of people now said they're not going to bother using them at all. That's almost 1/4 of people. So quite a large number.
Yeah.
Now I have to admit, the amount of road crews that I've used since they've changed it has been drastically reduced.
Yeah.
I want to use more, and I think I am going to use more, but that's just because I'm thinking about them more. But I'm kind of in that category. People, someone said in chat, I forget to put crews on, and yeah, I forget to put crews on a lot too. So
And remember the free roll as well. That's something to bear in mind.
yeah, at least get that free one and use it. Just use it for whatever.
It might not be much. Like, you might only get a steelhead, which offers 10% of each defense, but that could save you a generous amount of repair on a base. It might not make the difference between you smashing the base and dying in the base, but it could save you some repair if you do get through.
Right.
It's certainly better than not using it. I wouldn't sneer at 10% defense.
Any extra defense is better.
Exactly. Anything you can put on without cost is definitely a welcome gift, and you should be doing that.
Yep. I got, let's see, free crews all suck. You get one for each day for low levels. We talked about that, and I use them all the time. You're mad not to. So
Yeah, seems like they agree then.
Yeah.
So next, I didn't have a fancy rocket screen. I just took a picture of my launch pad. There's mine. But that
medium quick pinch. I like medium quick pinches.
Yeah, I've been using those in the raid. I had 21 stored yesterday evening. They take 30 minutes to build. As you're playing the raid continuously, it was 25 minutes and 5-minute speed up. And I just pinch the scouts in the elites because they're the little things that cause most damage. So, I try and pre-pinch them. I'm getting quite good at that actually. I'm quite liking my pinching skills. So yeah, quick pinches are good. We'll get into that. First question, are you happy with the changes? Almost a straight 50-50. 52.53 to yes, 47.47 to no. So, it's really balanced. I don't really know what to say more than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be curious why people are well, okay, no, I can figure out why people are unhappy. Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the questions. So, 25 rockets. Is 25 enough? Just over 60% said yeah, 25 is fine. 3% said no, there's not enough. There's too few. So, I'm guessing they want more than 25. I don't really personally see a need for it, but I suppose if they're saving up over the course of the month and planning to use them all in a raid or an arena, I can see the logic.
Did you let Tango do the survey?
That must be Tango. Yeah, apologies. And I think there's that Hunter Jav on the Alliance group. He loves his rockets, so it must be him as well. Although that's a lot more than 3% of the 2,000 odd people.
Yeah, well, I bet they've got loads of ults.
Possibly. And then 36.36 said there was too many rockets. Now, unlike the road crews where I said on the road crews, if 50 slots is too many, then oh well, just don't fill them. It's not a big deal. I think there may be a reason why people say there is too many, and it could be multi-rocket, which we'll get into. That's my last question actually. But I think there's more reason why people are unhappy with 25 rockets as opposed to more road crew slots. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, most important rocket. I thought, I'd be interested to see what people thought as their most important rocket. So, I kind of asked them to rank them, and from that, I've got that 45.74% of people, their most important rocket is a long pinch, and 34.1% is a quick pinch, and that's pretty much 45% of people want pinches.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked that only 8.45 said daisy cutter. All this hype about the daisy cutter, and not a lot of people still think that the pinch is most important to them than a daisy cutter, which
They're
could be a
obviously
good
using
thing.
them on the wrong targets.
I was surprised at the depth charge, 6.67. I don't see depth charges used an awful lot, but I suppose now you can stockpile rockets. I mean, you saw my picture, I had one.
Yeah, I put 2 on. I don't often go out sub hunting, but I think they also improved the depth charge. They reduced its flight time, so
Yeah.
I think they're a lot more viable than they
But
used to be.
See, the
Yeah,
thing
but
is, I built
the
it
thing
just
is
to
with
kind
the
of play
daisy
around
cutter,
with it.
what I tend to find that because I always have daisy cutter loaded when I go hitting bases. So if I get caught in my baser by a set of subs, as soon as they surface, they're going down.
Yeah. That's the,
That
I
daisy
don't think
cutter's
depth
only got
charges are as important.
it's got a 4 second flight time, does 30,000 damage. So and most people group subs up.
Yeah.
So as soon as they surface, they're gone. To
What
me,
I've been doing, I don't actually have daisy cutter researched. I'm in process of researching it. I did long pinch first. I'm with the 45%. Long pinch is the most important rocket to me as well.
Yeah.
And I think what I do is I usually have a quick pinch, medium, large, whatever I've got. I'll stick a quick pinch while I'm traveling to a base, and then once I'm through the tower and I'm safely between the tower and the base, I'll quickly jump in my base and switch to the long pinch if I need a long pinch for the base. If I need a quick pinch, I'll keep my quick pinch. So just in case I get hooked with subs, because you never know, many times I've been caught after I've gone through the tower or something and my fleet magically stops. So I'll pinch their subs if I can and kill them with my Crusaders or whatever I'm using. So it's a good tip there.
Yeah.
Extra large rockets, are they exciting? 46% said yes and they will use them. 5% said yes, but they're not going to use them, which I don't understand. On reflection, when I put the survey out, I was thinking that was a bit of a silly response. I'm not sure anyone would take that because if they're exciting, why would you not use them? But I can't. Maybe they're just feeling, a bit merciful for their enemy. So yeah, I think they're really good, but I wouldn't like to be on the receiving end, so I'm not going to use them. And most people, only just, but most people, 48.48% said no, complete overkill. I actually put that as one of the options. Overkill was an option, and a lot of people selected that. So I think it's balanced between a yes and no there again. I think the whole rocket thing seems so far to be really balanced about whether they're good or not, and whether they like the changes. So it's a hard one to call.
I think a
Well,
lot of the balancing side of things is actually coming from the community more than anything. With the fact that people sort of think that using more than one rocket in an attack
Yeah,
a bit overkill.
it's an unwritten rule in Battle Pirates that using multi-rockets is not accepted in base hitting. It's certainly not a rule that anyone should abide by. Play your own game. I know Larry's a big fan of saying to people, it's your game, play it how you wish. And I agree with him. So if you want to use 8 rockets, be my guest. It's in the game. You're not cheating. You're not breaking terms of service. As well as much as it might really irritate the hell out of me, you're well within your rights to do so. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's a kind of, like you said, it's a good balance in the community at the moment. And I think that's the whole. It kind of leads on to why we're getting such a big, yes and no on both sides. I think it's kind of people are happy with some of the rockets changes with the update, and there's certain elements where they're not. So I think that's kind of causing people almost confusion as to whether do I actually like these changes. They like some elements, but not all of them. As
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's the effect that multiple XL rockets can change the course of a base hit quite drastically.
which goes
Yeah.
back to my suggestion what I did a few weeks ago when we talked about the release notes about having some kind of cooldown period on rocket use. Now I actually said initially, I remember I said that there could be a period of time, I don't know how long they decide, whether it's 10 minutes, half an hour or whatever, between a rocket, and you can't launch a rocket for that period of time. You can build them and you can have them ready, but you can't, it might stop some multi-rocketing. But then someone else gave me an idea, and they said, well, if you think about that, and if I go into a base, let's say the three of us went to hit a base together. If I go into it and drop a daisy cutter on one ship, that's my rocket gone now. I can't pinch that base in the hit unless I wait. So what do? I ask Earth if he can go in and daisy cutter the other ship out. And then Professor goes in and he pinches the island and goes through and kills it. We've still multi-rocketed that base as a team. So there was another rule where it said, you know how there's certain restrictions on bases, like once you hit 8 times, it automatically gets an hour bubble. I'm not sure how they would enforce it, but it's certainly something to consider. He said that there should be a cooldown period per base. So a base cannot receive a rocket every so often. So maybe, every
And it
50.
kind of defeats the thing there, because if they're online and
Yeah.
they can repair it, it's kind of
See,
defeating
that's the
point,
thing.
isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing the suggestion out there which someone gave me, and I thought I'd include it. I said I would put it in there. It was some feedback from the survey that I thought I should put out. But it's something to discuss, maybe something to think about.
Maybe one rocket per type.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because
It's all software. You can enforce it however you want.
a couple of Orions
Yeah.
could be interesting in people's bases.
So we're talking about XLs. Let's move on to the daisy cutter. This is the main changes I'd say is daisy cutter and pinches. Obviously the pinches split into 2, and the daisy cutter increased. I should have worked out the percentage increase. I'm just going to guess 2,000. I don't know. Might be more, might be less. That was a complete. I plugged that out of thin air, so maybe that's completely wrong. But 61% said that it's too much damage. 38% said it's not too much damage. What do you two think? Do you think it's just too much?
I got sorry, just to go back. We got a couple interesting comments in chat. Another one was 3 hits max per base.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 rockets gets you a 3-hour bubble.
That's an interesting point. See, now, from that, I've just kind of thought, I was saying about you get 8 hits and you get a 1-hour bubble. I like the idea of you receive X amount of rockets and you get a 1-hour bubble as well.
Yeah.
That's
all right, sorry for interrupting. Let's go back to daisy cutters.
That was a really good point. Yeah, so I mean, I think the damage has gone from increasing in implements of 200. I think it was 200, 400, 600 for small, medium, and large, if I was correct. And then it's gone, an additional 34,200. Do you think that's ridiculous? Because I certainly do.
It's really high, and these changes in the XL make the rockets relevant again, and I think that's really what they tried to do, is make each rocket usable. But maybe they went a little too far on this one.
I think it's just the gap between large and extra large is ridiculous when you compare it to every other type of rocket. I think
the large was useless.
Yeah, I mean, if they were doing a really useful balance and they wanted to have this how it is, then they should have increased the previous 3 as well and made them a bit more relevant for lower levels to use.
You know why they've done this for this rocket? It's as a sort of little present to the people that they screwed over with the Reapers.
Hey, maybe this is the it's a silent way of saying we're sorry about the Reapers and you can't always use them in bases anymore. Here's a way to take out that pesky thermal ship. Best of luck, Captain.
Yeah. That's what it's for.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good rocket.
That's what it's for.
As much as I think it's overpowered, you can see I took this screenshot earlier. I'm researching it. I think there's only about 3 days left, and I will be using it. So I'm not going to This is the thing. I'm not saying that people are wrong to do so, but I'm not going to misuse it. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm not going to multi-rocket bases and stuff. That's just my personal opinion, though.
I'm not going to rule it out.
No, I'm going to say it. as a general rule, I'm not, because I don't like. I like to be able to get in a base knowing that I've beat it my way. But if they're a certain person, and there's a few people out there who I would think, no, you're having 3, 4, 5. Oh, I've dropped 8. Sorry. So yeah, it's all dependent, really, isn't it?
I mean, I use them quite a lot, but I'll only use one per hit. And that's not like one per hit, as in like hit a base 8 times. I'll use one, one per base that I hit.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think the next question was pinches. Yeah, are you happy with the pinches? So obviously the pinches were split into 2, quick pinch and long pinch. Now it's pretty even when you look at this, in the sense that the diagram looks nice and symmetrical, which I like. Looks kind of
Peace
pretty.
sign.
Yeah, peace out. We're not done yet. So 41.41% of people are happy with both the quick pinch and the long pinch. 9%, no, 9.09 and are happy with the quick pinches only. And again, 9.09 are happy only with the long pinch. And 40.4% of people really miss their old pinch. How do you two feel? Do you miss your old pinch, or are you happy with the
No.
changes?
No, I like it. I like them both. I think it's a lot more strategy now and using how to use it. I really like the pinch changes.
I do like, see, I'd say I like both. However, I'm not keen on the fact that the pinch versus ships has gone down, considering all the anti-pinch and stuff.
That's pretty much the same comment as what I was going to make.
Yeah, I'm
The,
assuming chat
the,
would
other,
probably
the other
agree.
comment that I was going to make is it's cocked my timings up completely because I keep on forgetting that it's not the old style.
Yeah, I did. I assumed that there was a 12-second flight time or whatever it was, and I went into a base with a large quick pinch, went to pinch the enforcer, and then I saw a 6-second flight time, and I panicked and I was all over the place, spinning around on the spot. And I thought, go for it. Ran in there with my spotters and my mastodons, and lo and behold, the enforcer had unpinched before I was in range, and I lost my spotter, and I died in the base because of that. I think maybe I would have made it if I had pinched the ship, because it didn't seem to have a lot of anti-pinch, thankfully. But it was just the timings. I wasn't in range, and I wasn't expecting the 6-second flight time. I forgot. So yeah, it's going to take some getting used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of us have been around for like 4 years plus and had the same times.
Yeah, it's force of habit, isn't it?
It is a bit of a pain.
Because long pinch, I'm used to. Long pinch is good. I like long pinch.
Because you used to be able to sort of know, it just used to become habit, didn't it? You never really sort of even timed it. You just knew that
Yeah,
it's going to take me that long to travel there. The pinch will land perfectly.
and that's one
And
reason why people might miss the old one.
yeah, I think it could be a bit of both. I think the reduced stun time on fleets is, put it back really.
Yeah, see, I didn't even. You can see, like I
I
said,
used
I've
to
done the
think it was
long
quite
pinch.
balanced, to
You
be
can
honest.
see, you can see my long pinches research. That was the first one I did. I'm working on Daisy Cutter now.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to do quick pinch next, but I didn't see quick pinch as a priority just because 10-second stun time, considering shielded electronics, and I would assume someone who's thought about their base design would have retrofitted their shielded electronics as well. And then you've got some ships now where they've got it built in, like the Goliath. You drop a extra large quick pinch on a retro 15 of shielded electronics Goliath, and it doesn't offer you much in the terms of pinch. You're better off pinching the turrets with the long pinch.
Well, the thing about the
Plus,
quick
of course, you're the sniping king, so that's why you've done it first.
Yes.
The thing I think about the quick pinch is that the benefit from going to a large to an XL is a lot less than a lot of the other rocket types. It's just a second or two.
Yeah. I mean, the long pinch is the same though, isn't it? And I think it's 26 seconds for large and 28 for extra large.
4?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it goes up by 4s.
Yeah, but them 2 or
It's
4
still
seconds
close, I
make a
agree.
massive. They make a big difference. Still, that's a salvo of a APOC retrofit.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we on next? So yeah, I mean overall, it's kind of split. I think again, on this, it's hard to call whether people are happy or not. I think it's a bit even at the moment. Although generally most people are, if you factor in the fact of they're happy with either or on the rockets, most people are happy to some extent. But there's a lot of people who aren't happy about the pitch changes, I would say. I'm not sure what the suggestion is with that. Maybe have a look at the pinch time versus ships. I think that's probably the main concern that we've got. Now, I thought we spoke a little bit about multi-rocketing. I think these are the last two questions coming up now. How many rockets are you prepared to use per base hit? Now, 36.46%, which was most people, still said one rocket, which goes back to what we said about that kind of unwritten rule in the community of people still want to use one hit in a base. It's all I do. It's what Earth's going to do. By Larry sniggering, I don't think it's what he's going to do.
I'm not going to. Well, I'm just not going to limit myself.
Yeah, I know.
Eight's a bit much.
I think two is acceptable nowadays. I think the second biggest answer. I feel like I'm on catchphrase here. Not catchphrase.
I think it's all right, but it's got to be limited to sort of one rocket for prep and then one during the main hit.
Yeah, and I imagine that's why people said two. One to daisy cutter a Viper, and one to pinch, maybe. I reckon that would be the norm. And then the third biggest answer, quite close behind that, was 8. 18.75% of people are willing to use 8 rockets in a base hit.
I'll tell you what, if you want to make somebody pay, drop 3 daisy cutters on some guard ships and then a pinch and blow your way through the base. It makes bases a lot more beatable, which I'm okay with. I don't think anybody's beatable.
Well, I think the stockpiling of rockets is I would go out on a limb and say that is the main reason why people are more willing. I don't think as many people would use 8 rockets if they had to spend on each time. If they had to wait between rockets. I don't think they would use 8 because, it's a lot of commitment anyway, using 8 rockets in a hit, going in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you something. Some of the smaller alliances are turning into North Korea with their rocket stockpiling at the minute.
Oh dear, that's a good way of looking at that.
Wait, so when they launch them, they don't work?
And when they launch them, they go to their allies instead in South Korea. I want to say that that's 6.25% of people using 0 rockets. Why can't those people hit me? I want more of those. I'd like to see that. I think if Cakeside could increase the amount of people who are using 0 rockets in a base hit, that would be great for me as a defender. But yeah, I don't think these results are too shocking considering the stockpiling, really. I don't understand the people who say 6 and 7. If you're going to use 7, why not push out there and use 8? You know what I mean? And why would 5? Why I don't know. It seems random. Maybe some people have got some logic behind it, like they'll pinch certain things. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm not surprised to see that most of them are 1 or 2 or 8. I was a bit, surprised to see so many. I said 4 and 5, to be honest. But
to be honest, I think a lot of what I've seen recently, people aren't really that interested in how many rockets you use. It's more the amount of prep hits that seems to upset people at the minute. I don't know why. Well, I know why when I do it, but
it's one of them things again where it's like an unwritten rule. You're gonna always get people who complain that you couldn't one hit. You're always gonna get people to complain that you had to use subs or you had to use a daisy cutter or a pinch. And I think it's.
Admittedly, the person that did get upset with me might have been because I used the full 8 hits. I only used 1 rocket, but I did take out 6 of his turrets and his entire guard fleet before I went in.
Well, I think that's.
Well, that's not your fault that his base was so permeable.
He got slightly upset.
Yeah, I would be upset.
He should take that as a teaching experience, a learning experience.
Yeah.
You were giving him a teaching moment. It's all a matter of attitude.
The best bit about it was he was driving his guard fleet trying to stop me, and I still managed to do it.
Right. Well, people like to make up rules for other people.
Yeah.
We already talked about that.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, we got two more questions. I thought there was only two, but there's actually three. How did these changes affect your rocket use? 56% of people now are going to use more rockets. Which, I mean, if you go back to the original "Are you happy?", less than 56% of people were happy with the changes. However, they're willing to use more still, which is kind of ironic, really. They're not happy with them, but they will use them. You know what I mean? So that was an interesting thing that I picked up on. But only 9% of people would use them less. I don't get why you would use them less, really. I
think that comes back down to the pinch times again.
Yeah, but
people were using pinches more than.
But I would say if you're not happy with the way that the pinches have lessened, I wouldn't stop using them, because then you've gone from lessened to not at all. 10 seconds is better than nothing. So I'd say still use them, just be angry when you use them.
Use them more. Yeah, you have them. You can build 25 of them. If you don't have 25 rockets, you should be building a rocket. And if you have 25 rockets, you should use a rocket.
Yeah, we keep saying, we've obviously said a lot about bases, but let's not forget about PvE.
Yeah.
How useful rockets are.
Yeah, I said in one of the earlier shows, I think, that the rockets weren't working on the 85s, and I was incorrect. They work, but the turrets don't mark as with the little squiggly thing.
See, I tested this. I remembered what you said. When I was hitting a level 90 platform, one of my guys in my alliance has built a Borbicus Gorsabot. And obviously, it was like watching a movie in the theaters. Everyone was gathering in to watch it, to see it work. And then he got his overload, and big disappointment, because nothing appeared to pinch. And we thought 1,000 range, the whole level 9 is going to pinch for 5 seconds, and we're all going to be laughing our way through with our Crusaders. But we didn't see a pinch. Now, I actually don't know if it was the fact that I just didn't see the graphic of the pinch, and the turrets might have stopped firing. I don't know, to be honest. I didn't really pay attention that much. I was running through killing things, but there was definitely no graphic, because after doing that, I dropped a pinch. A medium quick pinch was all I had, but I dropped it on a javelin and nothing happened. It was like I just threw a water gun towards it, or a balloon of some description.
Well, yeah, like I said, in the 85s, it works on those turrets. You just don't see that it worked.
Well, that's really good to know.
It's just sloppy on Kicksai's part.
Yeah,
because I pinched that little island with the Wendigo. I'd
like to see a graphic there. If anything, you take out of this, it's a small detail, but something that could be important to some people is that little graphic, also. You know when it's pinched and when it's not pinched. It can change the way you approach the turret.
It's supposed to work.
Yeah. Our final question. We've talked about this a couple of times, but multi-rocketing. Are you worried about it? 50 cents? No?
I think you got the wrong picture.
I've used the same graphic. There we go. That's embarrassing. I got all the way to the end and I messed up and copied the same image. Finn. Let's just go Finn. I do apologise about that. But I do remember it was almost even. It was just over 50% said yes, and less said they're not worried. It reminded me of the first question, when I asked about if they're happy with the changes. And that's what I was going to end on, but unfortunately I've cocked up the slide, so I do apologise there. We got far. We had 32 slides, including Finn, so I do apologise, but it's only one of 32. But yeah, more people were worried about multi-rocketing than not, and it did fall in line with the people who were not happy with the overall changes, so it made me come to a conclusion that people aren't happy with the changes because they don't like multi-rocketing.
Agreed. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Finn.
All right. Thanks, Rob. That was really interesting stuff.
I'm sorry, it did go on a bit, but we didn't specify how long we were going to do the show for anyway, so...
Yeah, it was a little bit longer than the Jeremy Kyle style result shows, but
yeah, it's like when you watch the X Factor. Everyone comes in because they want to see the results, but hopefully, I hope it was worthwhile for everybody. I hope it was worthwhile to people watching and they kind of got the results they hoped for. I'm passing this on to Kicksai. I hope they watch it for starters. I know it's a long video, so if you've got to this point and you're in a Kickside office, then I really thank you for bearing with us for this hour and 20 minutes, I think it's been. But I hope there's some good suggestions there. And Larry, I think you might have something you want to ask as well.
Well, I did want to add real quick. I posted a blog article on Saturday, I think it was Saturday night, Friday night, expressing a
It's Friday or Saturday, isn't it?
general pissed offness about the changes Kixeye made during the raid. Issued Kixeye an open invitation to talk with me about it, whether it would be Doom Rooster, Will Harbin, anyone in between, and I will just say that I've received 0 response. I sent Doom Rooster another private message this morning, and still no response. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be great to get some kind of feedback from them, because it's all good and well us lot doing the shows and giving our point of view, but we're nothing official. We're just players like everybody else, and it's nice to get someone from the office to kind of say, okay, this is what we've done and this is why we've done it, and it could possibly change our perspective on things, make us look at something in a different way.
I agree. I would want to hear their side of the story. The one that really burns a lot of people is they saw these changes, they sent in a ticket to support, and support said, well, the change was done to increase engagement. And that explanation just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And it would be, I would want to ask, why don't you explain that response? Tell us how it increases engagement to triple the damage.
Yeah, well, I actually have I did a video of an elite before and after, and I put that out there. It actually increased my repairs 450% for that elite to what it was before the update, and I think that is a completely unreasonable increase. I don't see how that is encouraging me to do more, making me spend 450% more. I mean, given some people might not have spent so much more, but that's why I had to spend more. And I was happy spending 10 coins on Elite, but spending 45? No. That's just it's just silly.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was about triple. And then, so I'm coming back and I'm doing, I haven't finished with the raid yet since I was traveling. And so I was coming back, I did a siege this afternoon, and I'd say that was about double. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, we all keep on saying we want repairs lowered, we want build times lowered.
Yeah.
But to increase engagement, you increase the repairs that we get.
Definitely.
Doesn't quite make sense.
One more point. It happened after I made the survey. I would have definitely included it in the survey had it been beforehand. I don't want to go on it too long because I'm worried about people falling asleep. But the changes to customer support. In a nutshell, if you haven't spent $50, is it $50 or more, or
correct.
Is there a period of time in the last 6 months or something? Was it?
It's I think for the first 6 months you get support no matter what, and then after you've been playing for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that I disagree with that wholeheartedly, and I'm someone who has spent more and will be eligible for support, so it doesn't affect me directly. But I know people who don't spend, and I think to kind of wrap it up and summarize it, if there's a problem I receive in the game, if there's a bug or something that's happened which is not my fault, I will send a ticket and let them know about that, and they will compensate me appropriately to repair the fleet because of the bug, which is completely what they should do. Now, how can someone who doesn't coin do that? Because all they do is get a dead fleet. They can't repair it because they don't coin, hence why they don't get support. So you've now thrown that player away from the game. What's to make them come back? Because they're not getting anything from you as an organization. So why should they come back and play your game if you're not throwing them a bone and encouraging them to play?
It's not just that, is it? It's word of mouth as well. Games like this rely on people's word of mouth in order to get new players. Everybody knows it. Oh, I'm playing this really good game, and it's all about this. You should try it out. That's not going to happen.
Have you ever said to anyone, either of you, "Oh, I played this really cool game called Battle Pirates. You should play it." Has that ever come out of your mouth?
I've been playing World of Warships, and I've been saying, I played this really good game. It's called Battle Pirates. It's the most expensive game ever created.
I've had people ask me, honestly, like people at work, people at university. They've said to me, "Oh, so what's this?" You know, because they know I do these videos with you guys. I do a lot of general videos and stuff, and they as friends, they join in, they watch them and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, so what is this game? What's it about and stuff?" And I tell them about it, show them a few videos, and they're like, "Oh, how do I play it?" And I honestly tell them I wouldn't bother, because unless you're going to throw your wallet at the game, you ain't going to be able to play with me, because you can't play at my level, because I've played for so long. You're going to have to spend a lot of money to just to play with me. And the reason they would play it isn't because they love Battle Pirates and they love the game, because they've never heard of it. They want to play the game to play with me. They want to play with their friends. Unlike GTA as a random game, if I had it on the Xbox and someone else went and got it, we'll jump on together, we'll play it together, and we'll have fun. I can't imagine this game having the same effect on people. So, something needs to be done to allow people to be encouraged to play rather than discouraged.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably end on that, really.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I did want to answer your question. 2 or 3 years ago, there were a few people that said, "Yeah, you should play Battle Pirates. It's fun. I have fun." I wouldn't do it today. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for everyone for bearing with us. I haven't been able to see chat, but I'm scrolling through and there's been a lot of activity. So thank you guys, and thank you for Larry and Earth for monitoring chat and also turning up and helping me out on this. I don't think it would have been the same if it was just me rambling on for an hour and a half.
I do apologise about being a little bit late. I couldn't get the link to work. So,
it's okay.
sorry.
Punctuality is important, Earth. We'll discuss this after the show.
No.
But yeah, seriously, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope.
Do I get the paddle again, Rob?
What?
Do I get the paddle again?
Okay, we're going.
All right, I'm gonna leave
Thank you.
alone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Good night.